I always love the countdown timer. 3, 2, 1. New York Giants football. Oh. Anyone watch a game last night? Anyone? Bueller? Anything good going on last night? Was there a quarterback sighting? Maybe a quarterback sighting. Maybe a professional quarterback sighting who understood the ability to read a defense. Understand if it's single high safety that you probably have one-on-one man coverage somewhere, and if you find them, good things can happen. A quarterback who had the ability to step up into the pocket. The line didn't just all of a sudden get better. We didn't go from 10 sacks, or 11 sacks that one game. We didn't go from 11 sacks to 3 because of the fact that the line just improved massively. We also had an injury involved as well. So what could have been different? What could have changed? Think about this for a minute. What could have been different last night? We were in Buffalo. We did play Josh Allen. We were wearing the uniforms, the Cool Rush uniforms or whatever, the alternate uniforms. What could have been different? I'm thinking about it as I look at Omega Supreme.
Autobots, roll out. We roll.
Oh, it's right. Looking at the chat, it's the quarterback. We got Mike Lee in the building. So I'm going, Tim, what's going on? Mike Lee also says Justin Pugh from the couch. He sure did play that way. He did play that way at times. We got OG Knockout in the house also. We got Todd Taylor dropping in and saying, would be worse off if he had gotten a second start. Nope. We got Omega Supreme. I saw Daddy Dable on his twin, Josh and Daniel. Which one is his favorite child? I'm starting to wonder. Geoforce Music says, we looked like a real team. Shockingly, we looked like a real team last night. Saquon Barkley. Everyone that sat there and told you, you don't need to pay Barkley. There's really no importance to Barkley to this team. Okay. He got the 2 touchdowns, of course, in Arizona before he went out and got hurt. He came back and ran for 90-plus yards. It was those 2 big runs in the fourth quarter, which helped set up the field goal, which put us back in the lead. We had a Jalen Hyatt sighting. It's crazy. Crazy as that thing. Jalen Hyatt, he actually caught the ball. Wandale Robinson actually caught the ball beyond 3 yards. Darius Slayton, he looked over his shoulder and said, oh, shit, there's a ball coming at me. What the hell are these? We're not supposed to do that. Todd says, just an injury as Zuda hurt himself trying to trip someone because he whiffed on a block. Saquon was back. Was a key determining factor. You had a running game. You had a quarterback that took a line from 10 sacks to 3. 10 to 3. Multitudes of sacks from Daniel Jones to only 3. You know what's funny? I always go back to when Carl Banks says, well, Tyrod Taylor is just better at running for his life. Daniel Jones is supposed to be more athletic. He's supposed to be younger. He's supposed to be faster. He's supposed to be better than he was. He's the first $160 million failed quarterback. I'm being nice to Daniel Jones today. No, we're not. Because of the fact that you saw what the Giants could do. The offense was still stuck in the mud. 100%. They're still having problems in the red zone. I don't understand some of the play calling. Dear Lord. And like I said, I spoke about it on the video today. I understood taking 2 deep shots on that second to last drive. I get it. Because of the fact that you were going with the assumption that you had 3 timeouts. If you limit them to a field goal, you still need a touchdown to win. But if you could have maintained possession, moved the ball down the field, ate up a lot of your clock, and had your scored and had your defense come back on the field, even with the 2 timeouts Buffalo had, wouldn't that made more sense? Because then also let's go with the fact that let's just say you stuttered. You sputtered. Let's say you sputtered at the 40. You punt it. You hopefully the Scottish Hammer can put them within the 10, and then you get better field position. It's just weird. Jersey Beaner says, "Sup, Tim? Thank God No more primetime games. We got the big pimp name slick back dropping in the super chat saying, speaking of Daniel Jones, they said he's feeling pain shooting down his right shoulder from his neck, and now the Giants are working out 3 quarterbacks. You don't want to ever see anyone get hurt. And there's the old, there's the old sport cliche that you never lose your job via injury. Ask Wally Pipp. Wally Pipp basically took himself out of the game because he said he was hungover, and Lou Gehrig came in. And I'm not comparing Lou Gehrig to Tyrod Taylor. Hell no. But what I am saying is this. If you play well enough, you do the things you need to do. You should earn that next start. And that's what I kept thinking about this video. If Daniel Jones did come back, I think after last night in Buffalo, because we went up against good teams and Daniel Jones was playing quarterback, and Buffalo was a really good team. I still think something's wrong with Josh Allen. I really do, because he just doesn't seem to be right. I think maybe something's wrong with that shoulder. But he did come on at the end. He led those 2 long drives, those long drives. But at the end of the day, you ask Drew Bledsoe. Ask Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe's another one that went out and lost it. Mike Lee says, being younger and faster doesn't help if your processor is slower than molasses. We've said it before. We're running the new iOS, and Daniel Jones is running DOS. I'll give the youngsters time to Google what DOS is. You have so much ability, and I think Daniel Jones has ability. But does Daniel Jones have the ability to continuously limit what the offense does? And like I said, you don't all of a sudden go from like 20 sacks in 2 games to 3. Justin Pugh looked like he did come off the couch, especially when he moved to left tackle. In the second half, they took all the plays. Oh, this is what I found even more astonishing. They took all the plays away from Justin Pugh's side and moved it to Evan Neal's side. And Evan Neal performed, admirably to a point. What does Mr. Pimp name Slickback says with this big old super chat? I love how people are saying, oh, Dable said there's no quarterback controversy, but did you expect him to admit they made a mistake in the offseason? We got James Williams saying, hit the like button. That's the other thing. Of course he's going to say there's no quarterback controversy. Great point. What do you want him to say? Well, we gave this kid $160 million. I really didn't want him. He was kind of forced on me. I sit there and talk glowingly about Josh Allen and Jalen Hyatt and Jalen Hurts and everyone else. And then when they ask me about Daniel Jones, I say, yeah, he's our quarterback. He's not going to say, he's not going to sit there and tell you, no, we're not going to start Tyrod again. Tyrod proved a point yesterday. And I thought about this. And I talked about this. Everyone asked me, what's Daniel Jones' ceiling? And I always jokingly said, well, for Daniel Jones, his ceiling is the floor. But if you look at what his ceiling is, it's probably Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor did everything he needed to do except score.
That's what she said.
That's what he did. He did everything he needed to do. And people will sit there and go, he couldn't punch the ball in the end zone. Well, neither could Daniel Jones. And I love it how people, oh my God. Bob, I'm going to get to your super chat in a second here, pal. I love when people, the last play of the second half, that was screwy. He audibled out. Shockingly, you can audible out of a play. Daniel Jones never does that. So I was more stunned when he audibled out. And he went to the run with Saquon. Saquon scores. He looks like a genius. So on the last play of the game, I'm seeing giant Twitter. And this is the stupidity of giant Twitter and a lot of content creators. They go, we should have ran the ball with Saquon. And even Dable came out and said, they stuffed us twice on the third down and in the fourth quarter, and they stopped us in the end zone at the end of the half. There's no pleasing people. Bob, what do you got here saying, Bob? Bob, in 2019, when the Bucks had Jameis Winston, the O-line gave up 45 sacks. The same O-line gave up 24 sacks when Brady, the year quarterbacks affect the offensive line. Bob, I talked, you know what's funny about I brought this up. When Kurt Warner played in 2004, I think he was sacked. I think he was in 9 games. I think it was 9 games. He was sacked 38 times. And then in 7 games, Eli Manning, when he came in and replaced him, and Eli Manning scheduled that last 7 games was tough. He played some championship style defenses. He was only sacked like 11 times. Wasn't that Eli Manning was a better quarterback? Hell no, it wasn't that in 2004. Yeah, hell no. But Eli Manning got rid of the ball a hell of a lot faster than Kurt Warner did. The offensive line didn't get better for going from 38 sacks to 11. The offensive line didn't all of a sudden miraculously improve because you have a rookie quarterback playing. It's because of the fact that Eli processed the plays quicker, got the ball out faster, and limited his time against the rush. Tyrod Taylor stepped up. How many times in the pocket did we watch Tyrod Taylor step up? And then they did, what's funny? Like we talked about in the stream, I would use a floating pocket. And that's kind of what they did. Said in the stream as well. I said in the stream, if they plant, what they needed to do is they needed to take Daniel Bellinger and plant his ass in the offensive backfield, which they did because it makes sense. That's how you control the clock. You control the rush. And if you have a quarterback that you give more than one option to, besides, okay, with Daniel Jones, if you're going to roll out, you either hit the tight end, and if the tight end's not open, you run. They literally gave it to a quarterback that understood, as I'm maneuvering in the pocket and I'm sensing the rush and the pressure, my eyes are still looking downfield. Great catch by Jalen Hyatt. Great catch. Great throw. Great catch. Yeah, it was a penalty. Nothing you can do about it. It was a penalty. Penalties happen. But the Giants, and like I said, taking 2 shots, that second to last series, the Giants took shots. What changed? Literally, what changed that made them decide, let's throw the ball deep? Our offensive line, we just lost Joshua Zuda. Our offensive line hasn't gotten any better. We got a guy coming off the couch who hasn't played, I think he's only played 7 games at left tackle in his NFL career, hasn't played since college at Syracuse. What changed? Oh, that guy under center. Mike Lee says, wishes he could reach the heights of Tyrod Taylor. Like Dom, he wishes he could reach the top shelf. Oh, G Knockout said, I bet the house that Tommy DeVito can score at least 1 touchdown in the first half. I don't know about that. I don't know about. Winplug says, Tyrod Taylor actually took deep shots with the same offensive line. Y'all making excuses for Daniel Jones. But that's what kills me, Winplug. You're right. That's Gerald Akbar. What do you think? Oh, I think it's a trap. Yeah, it's not a trap. The line was actually worse, talent-wise. It didn't all of a sudden get better. Bobby Johnson, Rob, is R0B's favorite guy, didn't all of a sudden coach these guys up in the locker room. I love Justin Pugh, and people are like, well, Justin Pugh had an awesome game. No, Justin Pugh had a terrible game. They just, in the second half, moved everything away from the left side. They were just like, we're not going to go that way. Because he couldn't block anyone. He got, which was like AJ Esperanza, who was a good player, went around him like it wasn't even there. There was a couple of plays that they just went, and luckily, thank God, Tyrod ran the other way. They went around like he wasn't even there. It was like, oh, I'm just going to go around you. I think it was Esperanza. Before Pugh even got out of his stance, he was around him. All the big runs came, all those big trap plays came on Evan Neal's side of the line. So I'm guessing now Evan Neal is the wonderful starter. Hey, what's up, Montana? Do you think they need Mara Blessing to start Tyrod Taylor? I think if Daniel Jones was healthy, it's like the Geno Smith debacle and Eli Manning. The doo-doo did not make that decision, did not make that call. That came from the front office. So I would hope they wouldn't need to. What's Todd say? Put Taylor in 4 solid quarters against a Super Bowl contending team. Jones put up 2 quarters against the 4th best team in the NFC West. You're right. You're right. We should have kept Cooper Rush. I thought we should have kept Cooper Rush. What's the Giants say? The Giants are saying the Giants crew are talking about the big old takeaways. Let's see here. Can we get Tommy DeVito as our quarterback instead? No, we are not going to get Tommy DeVito as our quarterback instead. No, that is something we are not doing.
You were serious about that?
Oh no, I knocked over the camera. I'm so excited I knocked over the camera. Oh, there we go. I'll move the camera back. What do we got here? The Giants traded away Kurt Warner for Eli Manning. No, the Giants didn't trade away Kurt Warner for Eli Manning. They released Kurt Warner, but they benched Kurt Warner for Eli Manning. DJ fans, who can look competent behind this line? The answer, Tyrod Taylor. Hey-oh. Oh, my God. You are not right. Swing Culture, what's up, my friend? How you doing? Peace, Tim. I knew Tyrod was going to play better. We should have won the game. We should have. You're right. We have the big James Williams coming in. So Jones Colt was on heavy damage control today. I didn't see anything on Twitter or I actually stayed off Twitter today because I figured it was just going to fucking aggravate me. And Zach Attack's dealing with the Googler's dealing with some family issues. So he didn't send me his normal plethora of information. So I don't know what was going on with I don't know what was going on in Giant World, to be honest. What does Antoine say? What do we got here? He says, people said Dable couldn't have showed up his quarterback Tyrod Taylor. Look to what happened when I believe it was Dodge that didn't kick the ball out of bounds. Tom Coughlin went, yes, it was Matt Dodge who kicked the ball directly to Deshaun Jackson. Yeah, I was at that game. That was not a happy day. That was not a happy day. Montana says Tyrod Taylor might have 2 strong years left. So in 2024, we draft a quarterback, play Tyrod Taylor from now. Listen, I'm not telling you Tyrod Taylor is the answer. I even said it before. Tyrod Taylor is not even the question. He hasn't really started since 2021. He's a journeyman quarterback now. Do I feel comfortable having him play out the remainder of the season? No. Would I feel more comfortable if you brought someone in like Carson Wentz to sit behind everyone because he's, even though he's had his issues, he's still a starting quarterback. But Tyrod Taylor is not the long-term answer. Tyrod Taylor could be the answer for the season, which is already in the shitter, but he's not the answer for next year. I wish he was. I really do wish he was. Like I said, I wish we had him 5 years ago. Mr. Sister said, is there a way to steal last night? It was theirs to steal last night. Couldn't do it. First of all, Waller got mugged. I told you, I kept thinking of Rocky 3, with what's his name? Apollo Creed's trainer, Duke, sitting there, as Apollo's getting pummeled by the Siberian bull. And he's going, Rocky, throw the damn flag, throw the damn towel. I was saying throw the damn flag because at one point he had both his arms not facing the ball. He's holding one of his arms. He's literally holding his arm down. And people are like, well, Waller should put both arms up. I love Twitter. He should have had both arms up. That guy had his arm and he was pulling it down. How is he going to do that? What's up, Joe Rev? Haven't seen Joe Rev in a while. Welcome to his house over here. Indian Spice would say, as questions as Dable can be. I definitely think the team needs to fire on the sidelines, and he definitely can do damage if he had a better quarterback. I will tell you this: the level of intensity from the offense seemed to change from the last 5 weeks to yesterday. So I do think that's a good thing. Hold on one All right, what do we got? We're back. Guess who's back? Back again. JD's back. What do we got? We got I got the Bob super chat. Let me get the we got OGR Sports in his house. What's up, OGR? Let's see here. The Giants are working out veteran quarterback, so obviously we're not comfortable with the dynamic Tommy DeVito backing up Tyrod Taylor. It means Denny is not coming back anytime soon. Are they bringing him in tomorrow? Are they bringing him in? Are they bringing him in? Yeah, I was on mute for a second. I was on mute, guys. Are they bringing him in? OGR, do you know they're bringing him in tomorrow or Wednesday? Usually, Tuesday usually is the day they bring in players, isn't it? I haven't, like I said, I haven't even checked on Twitter right now. So Todd says newest horse to kick. What the F is Kayvon doing? He's going to do something soon. Kayvon Thibodeau, man, I don't get it. He was basically pushed out of every play. And then it was interesting because during the melee, during the big fight, they were pushed, he was on the bottom of the pile. And everyone's like, "Oh, look at this, look at the Bills player on top of him. He's trying to kill him." He kicked him in the nuts. Kayvon Thibodeau literally kicked the guy while he was on the ground before the whole melee started, kicked the guy in the nuts. They showed it. They showed it. I mean, they showed him kicking him in the nuts, which is why he probably went nuts. Yeah, I was muted. We got OGR in his house. It's OGR. Let's see here. Send a Mara sent a virus trying to mute gentle. It's the gentler Tim. I was muted for a second. Bob also says, I think without question, you have to take a quarterback this year. 4 or 5 guys who are first round talents. If you're in the top 10 to 15, you have no choice. I'm sorry. You have to look at the placement right now, and it's way too early to look at the placement of the draft. But right now, if you literally held the draft today, you might have 4 or 5 quarterbacks taken within the first 5 picks. Except if I was the Bears, I would still hang out with Justin Fields. I know he dislocated his thumb and his timetable for return is a little off. But Justin Fields, I know he's working on it, but he's getting there. Anyone seen Casper, the friendliest sack rusher we know? Everyone goes by him like they were Eskimos. I don't know what anything has to do with Eskimos. I don't know what anything has to do with Eskimos. Sorry. What do we got here? What is my Tyrod Taylor? If you're not tanking. And I find that interesting. I see a lot of people saying that if you are not tanking, you play Tyrod Taylor. Shouldn't that be the opposite way around? Should it be the fact that if you're not tanking, you should play Daniel Jones? Have we come? I have, and maybe someone in the chat could help figure this out. I was trying to think of a more polarizing figure in the New York history landscape, in reference to a player that has been so overhyped and stayed so long with the team that he got a second contract for being average. And they gave him a second contract off potential. And that didn't, and I can't think of somebody. Of course, I immediately went to the Knicks because that's what you always do. When you try to think of a player that has potential and is so overhyped and got a second contract for being average, I immediately go think of the Knicks. Couldn't think of anybody. Couldn't think of it on the Mets. Couldn't think of maybe on the Yankees, because the Yankees are always known to overpay people. But it just, I couldn't think of anybody. What do we got here? If KT is a bum, so is Daniel Jones. At least they didn't overpay. No, well, technically you did overpay. You did overpay for Kayvon Thibodeau because you drafted him 5th overall. Pale Rider says, not saying that Tyrod Taylor is the guy, but he showed that a quarterback could still play behind a bad line. It just showed how bad DJ actually has been. That is a great point. That Pale Rider, that's a great point. We heard from the Daniel Jones fans of the Penny Boys that no quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrows, Justin Herbert, no quarterback could play behind this offensive line at all and succeed. No quarterback. None. 34-year-old Tyrod Taylor hasn't started since 2001, comes out and almost beats the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to raise my hand because I'm confused. I wish there was a hand raising button on Twitter, because I would love to just raise my hand and go, I'm confused here. Oh my God. Let's see here. Mr. Henderson with this big old super chat says, I'm done with the DJ fanboys. Got into it with the entertainer because he keeps claiming if we draft a quarterback, he is set up for failure. Last night disproved that. Why would drafting a new quarterback be set up for failure? It was funny because Bad Dog kind of posted. I actually posed that question to Bad Dog on Twitter, because he was kind of saying you can't go and draft a quarterback at one point in time, and this and this and this and all these things. And I said, so you're saying that if you draft a quarterback, you're setting him up for failure? And he's like, well, no, I'm not saying that. It proves to the point that at the end of the day, you need something. You need to understand and process plays much faster and much quicker. You need to move forward. That's what you need to do. Here we go. You knew it had to be Yankees. The Yankees signing Randy Johnson, Kevin Brown, Ed Whitson. What's his name? The guy from Japan, Aribe, I can't remember his name. The first two at least had track records of dominance just at the end of their careers. Randy Johnson and Kevin Brown, yeah. Ed Whitson was just a nutcase that came over from San Diego. But maybe you're right. Danny Dudd says DJ needs to play so we can draft his replacement. He owes us that much. OGR Sports says Dave Brown is the only one that comes close to me. 6 seasons with the Giants, another 4 with the Cardinals. Yeah, but they didn't give him a second contract. That I was trying to think of, and I understand your point, OG, 100%, but they didn't give him a second contract. The Giants didn't say, hey, listen, we're going to double down on our mistake. How he continued to stay in the league for a few more years, that's even crazier. Let's see here. Todd says both of them just wanted to win. They thought the Vikings game meant we were going to the Super Bowl. Good evening, Kevin. Hey, Kevin, I haven't seen you in a long time. Hope everything's going well. What's up, J Card Sports? What do you think of Drake May? I like Drake May. I even with Caleb Williams' bad game in against the Golden Domers, I still think he's the guy. I like the kid from Washington too, but I like Drake. I would be, honestly, there are so many quarterbacks in this draft. It's weird to say that I'd be fine with. It's almost like you kind of reached a point now where you're just hold on one second. I got to check something. Okay. Hey, James, are you on the mic? Can you jump on? I got to run upstairs. I need to take a 2-second. I got to take a 2-second break. Oh no, he's back in. Okay. I gotta go check. I gotta go check on something. Let's see here. Mo, it says, Tim, do you truly believe that the line is as bad as it's been because of DJ? Yes. I truly 100. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the line is bad. I think there are issues in the line. 1,000%. But I think they're magnified by the fact that your quarterback holds on to the ball too long and he can't understand how to process. Let's see. Pale Rider. How many years do other players get before people start saying that's just who he is? Why does DJ get 6 years? He could potentially get 7. He could get 7. I'm glad, Kevin. I'm glad you're doing good. Bob also said, Bob with the super chat, DJ fanboys were celebrating Caleb's bad game. I don't understand why they would say. I still don't understand why people are celebrating a kid in college having a bad game to make themselves feel better about their own quarterback. I don't get that. I like this. Let's see here. I saw another entertainer one here. I got to roll back up here. Oh my God. I got to roll back up here. I jumped around and let's see here. Hey folks, Tim, sorry, told us that. Now, okay, there you go. Can't argue with that. No, you can't argue with that. Let's see here. Let's see. Captain Alvarez. This one I wanted to see. The Giants need a quarterback, and I think people forget Tyrod only signed a 2-year deal, and we're in the second year. If he doesn't re-sign Tyrod Taylor, the QB room would be Jones and DeVito off the practice squad. Yeah, that's not a you're not setting yourself up for success by having that be your things go. Oh, you got 2 giant goofballs in his house. 2 giant goofballs. How's it going, everyone? It's going well. If you don't know 2 giant goofballs, they are a giant podcasting tandem. I've been on the show before. I did such a great job with them. I never got invited back. So that's okay. Kevin also says, you know what gets me? The people are making out like Tyrod's pocket presence had nothing to do with the line play. It had everything to do with the line play. How many times did we watch Tyrod? I always use the phrase or the expression "climb the ladder." He climbed the ladder in the pocket. The pocket collapsed around him. He climbed the ladder. A couple times he ran up the middle, and a lot of other times he threw. A constant success. That is why. Let's see here. Mr. McCormick says DJ Sealing is a backup quarterback. Indian Spice comes back with. That Tim, does Matt Hasselbeck count as a previous Daniel Jones situation? I don't remember him at the tail end of his Seattle career. Okay, hold on, guys. I gotta answer the. I gotta send it. It's not funny, but something's really funny. Something's really funny. The clowns are saying they drafted a tackle. The clowns are saying draft a tackle should just stop. It should just stop at this point in time. You can't keep drafting offensive linemen. That's the crazy thing. You can't keep just doing it because it's not working out. You keep drafting guys, and it's just not heading that way. I'm sending text messages. Hold on. Let's see here. Bob says on the 4th down play to Hyatt, he elevated in the pocket. Great point, Bob. He stepped up and he elevated the pocket. He threw the ball. You know, it's funny. If he would have gotten a little more air under that pass, Hyatt may have had an opportunity, but he threw it short. But he also threw it short because the pocket had collapsed. And you're right, he had stepped up into the pocket and he moved forward, and it was in a bad situation. But Bob, you're 1,000% right. Let's see here. Giant goofballs say, let's see. You are always welcome, my friend. Oh, that's so nice. I have a friend. Let's see here. Oh, my goodness gracious. Let's see. That's exactly what an expensive backup was. Todd says the last thing I remember about Matt Hasselbeck is he wanted the ball, and we're gonna win. That's right. With the what was it, an overtime? Where he goes, we're going to take the ball and we're going to win. Yeah, that didn't work out too well. Matt Hasselbeck is actually a pretty good scenario. You're probably right. I love how everyone has said that. Said on what quarterback to draft. Mara will not to move on from Daniel Jones. He might not. J Card says, Sports Card says, fire Bobby Johnson. Don't you think, Tim? No, why would we fire him now? He took his line. He went from 20 sacks in 2 games to 3 in 1. Why would we fire him? Evidently, whatever he did, whatever magic elixir he had that he gave to the offensive lineman during that halftime worked. Not everything is the position coach's fault. Now, what's his name? McGinty, the special teams coach? A lot of that's his fault. Because a lot of special teams is coaching. That's what a lot of that is. That's what a lot of that is. Oh, there we go. Oh, Mr. McCormick. I've seen Mr. McCormick a little bit. We got a big old super chat from Mr. McCormick. The 49ers moved on from Montana. New England moved on from Brady. Why didn't the Giants move on from Eli sooner? We could have had Mahomes if management listened to the doo-doo. You're right. I said it before. I loved Eli Manning. Eli Manning was like one of my favorite Giants, going back to Phil Simms and Lawrence Taylor and Joe Morris and the Mark Bavaros. But Eli Manning always ranks up there with some of my favorite Giants. And at this point in time, you're right. He stayed at the party way too long. Way too long he stayed at the party. But they did finally move on. But the problem is they moved on with Daniel Jones. And I kind of think that John Mara spoiled a little bit because he had 15, 16 years of Eli Manning. And he hasn't known a quarterback issue since going back before we landed on Kerry Collins. And I think the fan base at times doesn't understand that a lot of teams whiff on quarterbacks. I think something like crazy, like 90% of the teams whiff on that quarterback the first couple times. So just because, and right, if we listen to the doo-doo, we could be sitting here with Patrick Mahomes, not even having this conversation. Oh, we have the big old super chat from Bob saying, imagine how good Slayton would be. How good would he be if he had a real quarterback? Hey, Slayton was shocked today that he got the ball thrown to him yesterday. Slayton, like I said, Slayton looked around like, was he throwing it to me? Why is he throwing it to me? Bob comes in and says, this is all about Mara. If Shane and Dable want quarterbacks, they'll have to move on. We will be seen as the new Dan Snyder if you force Jones on them. Some ways we are the new Dan Snyder. Some ways we are. And some ways we're also, we're also an owner in we're not gonna say who, but we're an owner in Dallas in some regards. It's time to just take away Wellington did it. Wellington did it in the 70s after the Miracle in the Meadowlands. He relinquished the reins over to George Young. John kind of did it with Ernie Accorsi back in the early 2000s when he gave it to Eli Manning. He also kind of did it with Jerry Reese, but then he kind of ingrained himself a little bit more. Maybe it is time to just kind of cut the cord. Indian Spice says, football is a business, but I feel the Giants do owe him a proper farewell. The Chargers should not have unceremoniously got rid of. You know what? I think that Eli Manning definitely deserved a proper farewell. And I think the Giants would have given it to him. But I'm sorry, bro. I got to correct you. This always aggravates me because so many people have Giant history wrong. The NFL did not force. It is in Wellington Mara's book. I mean, George Young talked about it. They were not forced to hire George Young. After the Miracle of the Meadowlands, when Joe Pisarcik went to Zonka and whiffed, and Herm Edwards ran it in for a touchdown, Pete Rozelle and Wellington Mara were friends because this was it was the inception of the NFL and everything going on. So they everything with the landmark team. So he went and he said to Pete Rozelle, "Is there a young guy that we could go and get that'll help us turn this franchise around?" And he recommended George Young out of Baltimore. They didn't force anyone. They didn't force anyone to hire anyone. That is such a misconception of that. And I'm not blaming you because there's so many people that don't understand that, don't know that story. And it drives me nuts because, like I said, it's in Wellington's book. George Young talked about it. Hell, Pete Rozelle talked about it. Let's see here. Life goes on. What's Kevin have to say here? Kevin says, another thing that gets me is most people blame the receivers. Is Jones doesn't throw the ball to them. How can you catch it? It reminds me of Nuke LaLoosh and Crash in what's his name? In Bull Durham. It was a very simple game. You throw the ball, you hit the ball, you catch the ball. It's very simple. It's a very simple game as well with football. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. You throw the ball, your wide receiver catches the ball, and it's a touchdown. Moet says the guy that guys hit that like button. DJ gets hit in the pocket because he can't process fast enough. Blazin says I need John Mara to stop going back to the Gettleman well. I don't know if he's going back to the Gettleman well. I just think it's time. And I'm not saying that Shane is a failure. Do I think someone always asks in the chats, or in the comment section of the videos, do I feel that John Mara forced Daniel Jones on Joe Shane? Now, if you listened to the Joe Shane interviews before he took the jobs, of course, he said, no, I wasn't forced. But do I think that? I kind of do. And I kind of think it's that son, it's that son situation. He's like a son to me. But at the end of the day, I said this before, Daniel Jones could be the greatest guy in the world. He could help old ladies across the street. He could drive kids to the dialysis machine. He could read to orphans. But I would rather have an asshole who could read defenses. I would rather have that. I'm sorry. Danny Dead says, Mara refused to acknowledge he made a mistake by drafting Daniel Jones. Yeah, and the fan base has been paying for it now going on 5 years. Can the NFL highly success a new owner for the Giants? No, I just think that John Mara has to go the way of Wellington. I think that John has just got to kind of just step back, and it might not be Shane. Not saying that Shane's going to be a failure, but it might not be Shane, but they need to just step back a moment, and they need to sit there and say, and now everything's great. James, you want to come on? Sure, I'll have you on too. I just the situation now has cleared itself up. You know what, James? James, are you still online? I'm gonna put the link. I'm gonna put the link in the chat, James. I'll put the link in the chat, James. Here we go. I'm putting the link in the chat, James. If you're still on there, James, hop on. Let's see here. Kevin says, with Jones, it's usually a 3 and out. It usually is. Zach Attack, I have somehow made it, but Tyrod would have won more games under center. We don't know yet. I hope we do, and hopefully we find that out. Mr. Albert says, another thing I get, why do people want Marvin Harrison, the wide receiver? He wouldn't be targeted like, that's the other thing. Why are you going to draft a wide receiver if you don't have a quarterback to throw it to him, or if you don't have an offensive line? You're telling me you don't have an offensive line, but you're going out and draft a wide receiver? You already went out and got Jalen Hurts. You already got the Waller. Darren Waller was another one. He was walking. At one point, Darren Waller was walking around going, why is this mother effer throwing me the ball? I'm supposed to just run patterns and have no one throw me the ball. Why not bring in Cam Newton? Because Cam Newton's washed up. 2 years ago, Cam Newton was washed up when he played that preseason game against the Giants. Hey, Mike, what's going on, brother? Let's see. NYC said John Mara was told to step back by Steve Tisch. Then the second we won some games, he stuck it back. Yeah, you know what? I thought Steve Tisch was going to come in if things still weren't going well and sit there and take over a little bit. He hasn't done that yet. What's going on, my brother? Everything's going well. It's all good. What's up, Big Mike? We got the giant goofballs coming in saying time for the Hendon Hooker Jalen Hyatt connection for the Giants. Well, and considering he's in Detroit, that'd be a little bit more difficult. Listen, that would be one hell of a throw. If Hendon Hooker can make that throw from Detroit, I'm all good with that. Zagatag says, I am wrong, but does it seem like Tyrod has more respect in the locker room? I can't say if he does or he doesn't, Zach. I wish I could. There was a report that the locker room is divided about referencing to whom Daniel Jones or Tyrod Taylor should play. I don't believe the report. Probably came from Chat Sports. See that, Tyrod? I see that, Tyrod. See that, Zach. I knew somebody. I knew a name. Michael says, at least we actually moved the ball last night. No, we still got to get the ball in the end zone, though. That's the problem. I don't care how much we move the ball between the 20s. Once you get in the red zone, you got to get there. You got to get there. You got to do something. Isaiah played last night. Isaiah looked good. He made some catches, so I'm kind of happy with it. The goofball says, do you think they trade him when they sign Goff long term? I would keep Goff. I would keep Jared. I used to make fun of Jared Goff, and I remember I was 100% wrong. I said that Jared Goff was the one quarterback out of the 32 teams besides Daniel Jones who I would not take over Daniel Jones. Now I'm looking at Jared Goff going, hell, man. I would really like to have Jared Goff. What does James say? James says, I hope we get Hooker too, but I don't think they want to give him up. I don't think they're not going to give him up. We got a big old super chat from the pimp named Slickback says, I think the report came from Maris Carpenter. Maris Carpenter. Is that on Twitter? The report, here we go. Zach Attack. Maris Carpenter. Why have I heard of Maris Carpenter? Zach, why do I know Maris Carpenter? I need Zach to start my brain half the time. The report came from Michael Lombardi. Oh, okay. I knew I saw it somewhere. Someone sent it to me. Maybe it was you, Zach. Zach, did you send it to me? James says probably because Tyrod is black and relates better. Okay, that's just racist. I'm not buying that either. Nomi, let's see. No, I mean trade for him. I know I was being an asshole. Michael says it's still better than going 3 and out, at least to give the defense some sort of rest. I think it's a big reason why we stayed in the game. Gino 150 proof says I think Tyrod should let a lot of DJs walk, start Tyrod from the beginning of the year, and draft a quarterback. I would. But like I said, I'm not running the team. I mean, I would draft a quarterback. Let me see where James is. I sent you the chat. The link is in the chat if you want to jump on. This is how old people text. We read our texts out loud as we type them. Let's see here. As Mark says, Tyrod proved Daniel Jones is garbage. His poor play drains an already subpar line. Tyrod took less sacks with Justin Pugh at it. We need to take the best quarterback possible in the draft. Okay, well, Mark just ended the show. He just summed it all up. You literally had Justin Pugh. Justin Pugh. I mean, at one point in time, couldn't. Literally, they were just going around him at one point. He wasn't even getting out of his stance, and they were going around him. And I just love how people were like, he played so well. No, in the second half, they just went away from the left side. They kept Tyrod in the middle of the field, or they rolled everything to the right. That's where all the big runs came. Tyrod Taylor for president. He couldn't do any worse. Bob is just having a good time. He's laughing. We also got Mr. Alvarez saying at least if it hadn't signed Jones, they could have had some money to invest in the offensive line. Nobody ever talks about that. That's actually an excellent point. No one ever brings that up. If you didn't sign Daniel Jones, you would have had money in free agency. You would have a lot more money next year. You would have a quarterback probably under a rookie deal. So you're at least good for 5 years. You could have restacked your line, signed some free agents, made some other moves, went a different way in the draft, and then you're sitting there. Zach says the only thing Justin Pugh did was the intro. Yeah, I love when he goes off the couch. Bob says our line is worse than the NFL by far. Do you guys not watch the game? Take your quarterback and watch him struggle. Just like but we didn't struggle, Bob. The quarterback didn't struggle. The problem is the quarterback's 497 years old. I can't stand our fan base sometimes. Well, it's a good thing for you.
Get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
The good news is, Bob, we can't stand you, so you're gone. Let's see here. What does Frank say? What's your quarterback you like if you're not picking in the top 2 of the draft? What's his name? I like the kid out of Washington. I think he's got some personality. And honestly, if you're not picking first 2 in the draft, I think Ernie Accorsi showed the way that you can trade up in the first spot and get your guy you want. So if there's a guy that if there is a guy that Shane really wants, he'll go and get him. On a random note, McKeithen looked better than I thought, considering he was a backup. Again, I don't know. The offensive line, the offensive line just all of a sudden didn't get better. But McKeithen did look better. He did look better yesterday. And those two of those big runs, he actually looked pretty good at. Alan Thomas says, trade Zach Wilson for Daniel Jones. I'm not going that. Well, you know what? I might go that crazy. Let's see here. Frank said, who's your quarterback? I already talked to that about. Mike says, what does Michael say? If you know DJ isn't the guy when you're comparing him to an old backup on Twitter on who's better. That's the question and a half. That really is the question if you think about this for a second. If you're comparing Daniel Jones to Tyrod Taylor, there shouldn't have been a comparison. The level of play should have dropped exponentially when you played Tyrod Taylor. It should have. The law of averages says you had drafted a guy as high as you did Daniel Jones. He's been in the league now 5 years. And you're bringing in a guy who's 34 years old and haven't started a game since 2021. You would think the play of yours would have dropped off, that he would have been sacked 400 times instead of only 10. But he went from 10 sacks to 3. There's something wrong in that equation. Todd says, yeah, the O-line sucks, but that's not the reason you pay a quarterback $160 million. You're not wrong. Danny Duds, the players respect good players who make others better. DJ does none of those things. I'm just very excited that they're bringing in quarterbacks. Antoine says, Mara got to let these GMs and coaches work. They would think they could look at KC and the Eagles, Baltimore and Buffalo, success instead of throwing chairs. You're not wrong. James says, y'all act like Tyrod Taylor don't suck. They both suck. What quarterback under a rookie dead Clayton Tune? Okay. Skyline says, hey, Tim, do you think that Bobby O and McFadden combo on the I loved it. The Okereke and McFadden, it was great. Again, Bobby Okereke was the only Giant to have tackle. He had 2 tackles for a loss. He was the only Giant to get a tackle for a loss, and he got 2 of them. I believe they had 7 or 9. I think it was 9 Buffalo had. Giants had 2 on Bobby Okereke. It looks like a nice combination. McFadden is looking good. He's kind of like piercing a little bit. He doesn't get, like I said, we always use a phrase. He doesn't get lost in the sauce. He's got that ability, to find the ball carrier. So he's a little undersized, but it is what it is. Razzle the Great says, I'm late. I can't evolve because my O-line sucks. Pale Rider, Justin Pugh off the couch. Penix doesn't look like Eli, so we're not drafting him. I'm not getting into that today. Normally I'd get into that, but I'm not going to get into that today because I'm just happy for Tyrod. Taylor. Mr. Watt says, Tim, DJ is the 2023 Dave Brown. You're not wrong. Tyrod had more pocket awareness. Jones runs faster. Tyrod throws the ball on the run better than he. Let's see. You're not wrong. Mike Lee says, this is what a leader does, makes those around him better than they actually are. Could you guys imagine that we take Drake May at number 2 and North Carolina player at 2? Just saying, history worked out for us the last time as Giant fans. Of course, he's referring to Lawrence Taylor when the Saints grabbed George Rogers, and everyone in New York just went crazy. Yeah, Zach Attack. Todd, let's see. Tyrod Taylor is not a regular backup quarterback. He is a borderline starter. Yeah, I can see that. Indian Spice says, here's my brother. I see him. He's smiling. What's up, my brother, man? I miss you, brother. What's going on?
What's up, brother? What's up, chat?
It's like looking in a mirror.
It's like looking in the mirror, but not.
If the mirror was reversed. What's up, man? What's going on, James?
What's up, baby? What's going on? What's up, everybody?
Just living the dream and living the Buffalo. I don't know what we're gonna call. You always have a name for something like the Thrilla in Manila. The Miracle, the Meadowlands, 1 yard short Buffalo. I mean, I don't know what to call it today.
I told my boys, I said this was probably the best loss I've seen since 2007 when we lost to the Patriots in that last regular season game.
Ooh, James dropping knowledge.
Ooh, that was deep.
That was deep, man. That was deep. All right, James, I'm going to talk to you about this. I'm going to make sure we keep the chat involved too, guys. So make sure I'm going to keep looking at your messages. I'm going to put them up when I see them. All right, James. Tyrod Taylor comes in, the anti Daniel Jones comes in, almost leads this team 1 yard short, definitely a penalty in the end zone.
Definitely.
I mean, you can't grab a guy's jersey and his arm. I was telling people, I said I thought it was crazy on Twitter. They were like, well, in that situation, you have to have both arms up. They were saying that their arm. I'm like, when someone's holding your arm down, how is that possible?
It's like I'm getting mugged in the street. You have to scream at a higher decibel so the police can really hear you.
So they can really find you faster. I mean, you watched the whole game. We were texting back and forward.
Yeah.
What was your thought process, or what? I mean, the offensive line to me didn't just get better. They only gave up 3 sacks. What could have been the common denominator, the factor that had changed that the offensive line seemed to play, I don't know, better? Was it Justin Pugh?
Well, straight off the couch. I love that. That's that quote of the week. Straight off the couch. Shout out to Pugh. But
he almost went back on the couch too.
Yeah, no. That first half was rough. You know, he was shaking off the cobwebs. But it's funny. I just had this conversation for like an hour breaking this down, and I was trying to tell my boys from work that it's not that we changed. I said actually he lost one of his starters in the game.
Joshua.
So that's what caused Pugh to have to move over to the other side of the line, and that's why he was catching the false starts, because he was just getting his time in.
He's only played 7 games as a left tackle his entire career, and he hasn't played it since really fully since college.
Right. So, like you said earlier on the stream, the offensive line actually got worse, you know, as we got into the game, and he was already down 2 starters in, you know, your nephew, our center, and Thomas, and shout out to Schmitz. And the biggest difference is the guy throwing the ball. I don't know why. I'm going to try to say this calmly and not get too excited. If you have a quarterback that can, if you have a quarterback that can read defenses in a timely fashion, and they're comfortable in the pocket, and they know how to step up, step back, even get out the pocket, and they can make quick reads and get rid of it. Because even there was a couple of plays where he got out and he was running, and he just threw it away. You know, he didn't like the pass to Hyatt, which was nice. I was like, oh, where's he throwing that? And I was like, oh wow, he's actually throwing a pass. Like, yeah. I'm not used to that.
You were
like, oh, you
threw it more than 5 yards.
You know, but he was making quick decisions, quick reads. The offensive line wasn't standing there having to, hold up Berlin, by them, for longer than 3 seconds. And he was just quick with it, like even on the final drive when we got back down to the 1, trying to win the game, he was hitting little 5 yard out of bounds, 7 yard out of bounds, 8 yard out of bounds. Like he was doing what we've been in the mud for so long, that watching a guy come in and play the position the way it's supposed to be played, we're sitting there going, oh, I remember what that was. That's quarterback. That's a quarterback. Wow.
It's one of those things. We literally watched a quarterback, if you want to be honest, play slightly above average. And as a fan base, we were stunned. We were befuddled. I remember, like I said, I had like 8 chats going on at once, text messages going back and forth, and people were like, "Oh my God, he did this, he did this, he did this." I'm like, "Yeah, that's what he's supposed to do."
I mean, if you want to, technically he did outthrow White Vic. He had more yards than him.
He had more yards. Giants cracked the 300+ yards yesterday.
Yo, Saquon had those 2 big runs. Like the whole team. Another thing, the whole team. I don't know if everybody noticed this, but the whole team seemed to be moving with a little pep in the step. Everybody except for Kayvon.
A little bit. We're not even going to get into Kayvon. I was talking about Kayvon. Did you see on Twitter that one of the reasons why the offensive lineman from the Bills went so nuts was which is going to be kind of funny, literally because Kayvon kicked him in the nuts, and they showed it on Twitter.
If you watch, there was a point, I think he's on his back, and he's like kicking because the guy's like leaning over him about to maul him like a bear, and he's like, "No, stop it, no, get off me, no."
It reminds me of the little kids in the playground.
Yeah, he's like, somebody get off me,
Get off me. That's what it reminded me of.
He man, that guy I just put it real simple. We held one of the most dynamic quarterbacks and offenses to 14 points. 14 points. And I can't think of one play that Kayvon made in that game last night.
He made a tackle.
I'm serious. I can't think of one play that he made. And we held that team to 14. Bobby Akirike and my new Chase Blackburn McFadden, they were all over the place. They were like Sam missiles. They were all over the place.
It is a great tip. I love this though from Todd though about Justin Pugh. If he's not back on the couch at the end of the year, that's not a good sign.
Well, with our team, we may have to give him a contract.
It's funny. From what I heard, the Giants called Jumbo Elliott.
Oh my God, it would be funny if it wasn't for the fact of like, I wouldn't be surprised if they just put up all kind of fillers to everybody. I mean, we literally had a guy off the couch, as he said in his little intro, and he came in, and the offense actually looked better with our backup quarterback.
We talked about this. What was amazing though is, and I don't understand how Buffalo didn't figure this out in the second half. The Giants barely ran or played anything on the left side. Everything went to the right side. Everything went, and this was shocking to me. Everything went to Evan Neal.
Yes.
Justin Pugh is so bad at points in time, they ran towards Evan Neal.
But isn't that amazing that all we've heard all year is the offensive line, the offensive line, the offensive line. And then last night, honestly, you can't even say, like, yes, we know the offensive line is bad, but we still literally had a chance to win. And even on the last play, the quarterback didn't do anything wrong. It was pass interference. It just wasn't called because they just gave us one. I guess they're not going to give us two back-to-back PIs, on the road because we suck. But hey, we had a chance to win it down to literally the last throw. Backup quarterback.
I want to get through a lot of these comments, but I wanted to ask you a question about that last play of the game because some people, and again, it's mainly content creators, were driving me nuts. The little bit I saw on Twitter today.
I'm gonna do what I saw later. Sorry.
Their big thing on that last play was, how can you take the ball out of the hands of Saquon Barkley? And I'm thinking to myself, these were the same people a couple hours earlier were bitching that you handed the ball off to Saquon Barkley.
Mm-hmm.
Explain.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Explain that to me.
They're just grasping for straws, man. This is a weird time, and if you're a real Giants fan and you've been knee deep in this process, like a lot of us have for 5 years, this is a weird time. Because there's been a few content creators that had videos out and you could see it on their face where they're like, well, I've been saying the same thing for 4 or 5 years. I've been saying the same thing. And then last night you watch and you're like, oh, somebody literally came and drove the car better than the owner of the car just for one night. The car actually drove great. And people are just sitting there with this look on their face like, well, Tyrod played better, but explain to me how. How did he play better? What do you mean he played better? How did he look better? And it's like, how did he look better? What are you talking about? It's like the guy threw for 200 yards. That's, like you said, mediocre numbers. But in our world, it's like, oh my God, that's like Aaron Rodgers. That's like Pat Mahomes. It's like, oh my God, 200 yards. Oh my God. He threw bombs. Jalen Hyatt is probably like, oh my goodness. I was open and he threw the ball and I caught it. Oh man, like I forgot that guy was on the team. That's a first round pick.
No, Jalen had a third round pick.
Oh, third round pick. Yeah. Whatever, man. The point is, it's first. Like as far as us going out.
Good point.
I know, man. Well, whatever, man. You know what I'm saying? Like the guy is supposed to be one of our newest additions,
right?
And we didn't really get to see him do anything until the backup came in. The same thing happened in preseason. The one game Jones played, soon as he came out, Tyrod came in and threw a bomb to Hyatt.
Yep.
It's maddening to me. It's maddening. And then you got these other people out here who are like, well, even though the team's not doing good, I don't want to tank. And if you're rooting for your team to lose, then you're not a real fan. It's like, nobody here is rooting for them to lose. They're losing on their own because they suck. Because the quarterback sucks.
We're not
because the big we're not rooting. But after these next two games, Washington and the Jets, which more than likely we're probably going to lose based off how they've looked. Washington's coming off a bye, and if you saw the Jets yesterday, we're not ready for that defense. That was without Sauce Gardner.
Aaron Rodgers has got to get his ass back because the Jets literally have a championship defense.
Like if Aaron Rodgers was there, can you imagine how exciting that would be? And I'm saying that as a Giants fan. Like, come on, we've been stuck in quarterback. I want to say mediocrity, but it's like the Twilight Zone where we're just stuck with this guy, and it's like it's like somebody, your wife feeding you or your girlfriend feeding you the same thing, porridge, and you hate it, but you've had it for so long that you're like, well, it's not that bad. And then yesterday we had McDonald's fries, and we were like, oh my God, this is the best thing in the world. And it's like, it's McDonald's fries. It's not that great.
Did you ever see the Twilight Zone episode where there's this beautiful woman and she keeps having this plastic surgery and it's always failing, and you look at her and you're like, well, she's a beautiful woman, and then it turns around, they pan them in the room and everyone's got these snout noses and they're ugly and everything else, and she's the ugly duckling. Is that Daniel Jones?
That's a good analogy. And a lot of people probably don't know what you're talking about, but I don't know what he is, brother. I'll be honest, guys. Like, I'm the wrong guy to ask because, as you know, from day one, when what you call said as the New York Giants select, I was like, no, get this guy out of here. I am listen, and I'm just talking about Daniel Jones, the football player. I hate this guy. I can't stand him. When I see people stand up here and try to make excuses for him, even after last night, it's ridiculous. I don't know. It's like he has to be Mara's illegitimate son. Mara went out, was playing around. It has to be. There's no reason why this guy, Daboll was yelling at Daniel Jones, and then he threw the iPad. Well, Daboll was yelling at Tyrod last night. Tyrod seemed fine. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, Tyrod does this. Well, he's coming off the field. Yeah, it's me.
Yeah, they're walking their stroller, and Tyrod's like, oh, yeah, man, it's my bad. I thought
my bad, dude. I played in you.
God forbid I get Saquon some extra touchdowns because, those clauses that he signed in the beginning of the
they're not looking too good.
Like, he needs to get his numbers up. Maybe, God forbid we look out for the franchise because he is the franchise. I mean, for a couple more months. Until he's gone.
Until he's traded. I want to run through some of these because some of these are good comments. Montana says, if Tyrod Taylor's not the answer, long-term or short-term, you can't keep doing the same thing expecting different results. Gino 150 proof. I don't know if this is being facetious. So basically the line looked better because the quarterback was better. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think he's being sarcastic, but yeah.
If you don't understand that, you don't know football. I'm sorry. I'm not being mean. If the quarterback is reading the defense faster, getting the ball out of his hand faster, the line will look better.
Yeah. James is not being mean. That's my job. Come on, guys. You can't praise mediocrity. We need a quarterback, says Fabian. Greeny Green says, if you're not kicking him in the nuts, you're not trying. It's the old college. That's what they always said in college, man. It's the old college try. Kick him in the nuts. Moet said, could you imagine Tyrod as the number one quarterback since camp and the line was healthy, man? What if? Tyrod Taylor is not the – I would love to sit there and tell you, but Tyrod Taylor is not the answer.
Yeah, we're not saying he's the answer. That's not what we're saying.
And I love you, Moet. I love you to death. But I don't think he is even at the beginning of the training camp when we had him, it's going to be really no – I mean, it would look better. But I probably think maybe James, we win an extra 2 games. Maybe we would have 3 wins now.
Hey, we wouldn't have lost 40-0. It would have been 35-14.
I was gonna say we would have held him. Let's see what is Mr. Behind the Fiends say with big old super chat saying they should have a franchise tag. Jones traded him while his stock was high for picks. I said it then and will say it now. We got Jones because of Manning connections to the Duke's coaches. That would be what's his name, Cutcliffe. And coaches not talented. James, you and I have talked about this before. I would have tagged Jones if you I wouldn't have done that at all, but the option to tag him is going to hurt the salary cap. People seem to forget that we are still on salary cap purgatory. So tagging him would have taken $32 million right off your cap when we barely had any space. Dable's, I guess, thought process was, or Shane's thought process was, I get him cheap this year, give him all the money next year. If he turns into something special, we got a guy, but it looks like it's just imploded. And I love the fact, James, that so many people are like, how can you give Saquon Barkley a long-term contract? He's never healthy. Last year was Daniel Jones' first season in the NFL where he played 15 games.
Not even all the games, 15.
Yeah. Or did he play 16 because he missed, I can't remember 15 or 16 because he missed the last game of the season. So it's 16. Right. He was healthy for 1 year and you paid him, and now he has a neck injury. And James, I'm not sure because I'm not that bright. A couple of years ago, Daniel Jones got hurt and missed the majority of the season. What kind of injury did he have? Did he hurt his back? Was it his back? Was it his knee?
I believe that was a toe, finger. No, it was the neck.
Oh, it was the neck. It was the neck.
The neck.
I forgot. I couldn't remember. I'm glad you came in and brought that up. I do think the Manning connection does have a little bit of something to do with this, personally. I'm saying more with Mara, James.
I mean, it has to, but I mean, we literally picked a guy out of space. Like, people really understand? We picked a guy out of space. I'll never forget it. I woke up that morning. I had my coffee. I was watching Colin Cowherd, and he said, "Uh-oh, I'm getting some information from
There's
the
a
universe.
Surprise team.
The New York Giants are looking at Daniel Jones from Duke." And I was sitting right here in my man cave, and I was sitting right here, and I was like, and something in the back of my mind just scared me, and I said, "Oh my God, we're gonna take him." Because where did this come from? Why is he saying this? As the day went on, it got more and more.
I tell the story because I heard the same Colin Cowherd interview, and what happened was he comes out and he has the teaser in the commercial before he went into what he was going to talk about, and the teaser was there's a surprise team looking at Daniel Jones in the 2019 draft. We'll talk about that when we get back. And I remember, because I had it on in the background, and I'm going, please don't be Daniel Jones. Please don't play the Giants. Please don't be the Giants. Please don't be the Giants. Yeah, and then he came out and mentioned the Giants. I'm like, oh, dear Lord.
Like, I mean, I watch college football. I never heard of the guy. I never heard his name mentioned in any game, any bowl. I'd never heard. I mean, Duke right now is better than Duke when he was there. Yeah. It's like, we picked the kid that it has to be something like when people go, oh, the thing is the league is not rigged and none of this stuff. Like situations like this make you go, it has to be rigged because you picked the wrong guy and then we doubled down. We doubled down and gave him a contract.
We're going to show people how smart we are. We're going to give him $160 million now.
Take that.
Take that, NFL. See who's laughing at the end of this year or by game 4. Greeny Green says anyone playing quarterback like Mr. Magoo is going to look better. Hopefully you're not insulting Mr. Magoo. Todd Taylor said 200 yards is a great game when you used to 115. Mike Lee says it looks like the third string quarterback and Webb to Kenny G, his first giant touchdown. Enough said.
Yeah,
we forget all about that. We honestly
forget about the smooth sounds of Kenny G.
Max says the only people that go crazy when DJ throws for 200 yards and 0 touchdowns were downplaying what Tyrod did the same thing. They don't get the point that Jones isn't the guy at best. He's a journeyman quarterback. I said Daniel Jones, to me, his ceiling is Tyrod Taylor.
That's on a good day.
That's on a good day.
It's on a good day.
And you know what? That's not a bad thing, but I'm not talking Tyrod Taylor from 5 years ago. I'm talking Tyrod Taylor this year. Because Tyrod Taylor back in the day when he was, those 3 years in Buffalo, he could ball a little bit. I mean, the guy's got like 60, almost 70 touchdowns and only like 30 interceptions. So he takes care of the ball.
If you take out the second half against Arizona, do you know how bad this guy, Danny Crimes, numbers are? If you take that second half, I mean, we just paid the guy $40 million, and the guy can't read defenses. He can't. If you can't see that yourself, then you're either not really looking for it or you don't know what to look for. Because after, again, watching Tyrod last night, I'm watching it and I'm like, oh wow, it's like 3rd and 5. 3rd and 5 is like an adventure with Daniel Jones. It's like Indiana Jones. It's like, saddle up, short round, everybody, come on. Dun, 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 dun. It's like, what are we gonna do? Tyrod last night, 3rd and 5. Oh, Wandell's right there. I'm just gonna throw it to him.
So what you're saying is, I have to go on the soundboard and find no time for love, Dr. Jones. That's what you're telling me I got to find. People are forgetting Saquon Barkley came back, and that helped. No, we didn't forget that, Mick. We talked about that in the first hour. Saquon, you have to remember, Saquon Barkley had 18 rushes for, I think, 25 yards in the first half. That wasn't really helping out Saquon. He got majority of his yards off those 2 big runs. And then I loved it because then Dave or Kafka, whoever the fuck is calling the place, sat there and said, "Haley, I got an idea. Let's run it a 3rd time with Matt Breida."
Yeah, I got something that's going to blow everybody's mind. Think about this for a second. Usually, it's the running game that helps open up the passing game when Daniel Jones is in there. If you really think about last night, Tyrod Taylor's ability to move the ball in the passing game actually opened up Saquon for those 2 big runs that he had in the second half.
Yeah.
Oh,
you take away the 2 runs on Saquon Barkley, he's got like 25 carries for like 40 yards.
Yeah. And again, on that last drive, when we went down to the 1 yard line, the very last drive, that was all Tyrod.
That was all Tyrod. Yeah.
Bong, bong, over there. Bong, 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 out of bounds. Bong, out of bounds. Bong, bong, bong. Like, wow.
When Tyrod took off at the end and ran, and I was sitting there going, he is old, man. Because it seemed like it took him a hell of a long time to get to the freaking sideline.
So,
I'm like, where's my sundial?
I know what he was thinking. He ran, and he was like, yeah, I can make it. And then all of a sudden reality hit, and he was like, oh, wait, I'm an old man. Those guys are coming fast. Sideline.
I was going to say, he's like, I'm running. Wait, I'm 34.
Wait,
I'm not really running.
He's like, wait, I'm really far away. I'm not going to make this. Oh, my God.
Orlando says, we've been in a bizarro Jerry Seinfeld episode for the last 5 years with Daniel Jones. James says, not the other James, DJ has a slow processor, doesn't throw with anticipation. I don't understand why Dable and Joe let him play for paid him $40 million. He really doesn't throw with anticipation. That's a great comment. Because if you go back and look at it and think about it, James, Tyrod, this was one of the first games I can think of 3 plays though that he did throw his receivers into contact. But for the majority of the time, even Wan'Dale Robinson took a pass over 5 yards when he split the 2 defenders. He positioned the ball, and we've always talked about ball placement, that allowed the wide receiver to at least have the possibility of getting a yak.
Even on first of all, he hit Slayton on 2 big 3rd downs on the sideline, and then Slayton dropped one later in the 4th quarter. But all of those passes were right where the receiver could make a play. And even the one that Slayton dropped was right there, hit him right in the chest. You know, it's ball placement. I think there was one to Waller where Waller ran for a little bit where he actually like led him. You know, Waller was actually able to catch, get a little layup.
He did throw a potential good gain to Waller behind Waller. He threw a bad pass to Waller on that.
Oh, yes, he was the one because saying that he thought Waller was going to sit down.
Yeah, he thought he was
right. He did
on the route. He didn't. He went the other way.
You know, but again, listen to what we're saying. We are sitting up here critiquing our backup quarterback versus the guy we just paid $160, $80 million guaranteed. And we're literally sitting up here going, well, dang, well, the backup actually was doing some things that we haven't seen the starter do.
I don't think I ever thought this season I would have like 3 consecutive videos with Tyrod Taylor on the cover.
I got a question for you.
Sure.
Answer that. If you're Dable, right, and Mara and Shane, right, the three wise men, whatever. Now, from an owner's perspective, not a fan, you want to win games,
of course,
because you want your fan base to be happy, right?
And they're buying jerseys, and you're getting
buying jerseys, and you want them to come, right? Okay, cool. Now, our record right now is what it is. If you're Dable and Shane, you want to win games also, but you're also probably thinking about the future a little bit more than our owner is.
So I play Daniel Jones.
So my question is, based off last night's performance, and the fact that if you heard during the game, when they were saying they were talking to Jones, he said that he's still feeling stiffness in his neck or pain in his neck. Like, he didn't sound like he's 100% ready to go.
They're bringing in quarterbacks tomorrow.
So my question to you is, are we in a situation where we may actually have to see Tyrod go? Is that something where it's like we should be leaning towards that, even though, to be honest, that, as somebody said in the chat earlier, I think it was Indian Spice, that Tyrod's going to go out there and win a couple games more probably than we want for the tank. So what's better? Are we looking more so win now, or should we actually start thinking about the future, which is something we really haven't done in Giants land, where it's like we really, like, nobody tanks in football because you'll die, you'll get killed. You have to go out there and play.
Do you remember a couple years ago, the Knicks last game of this? It was the Karl Anthony Towns draft. Last game of the season, the Knicks won. The last 3 games of the season, the Knicks basically had to lose like 1 of 3, and they were going to have the opportunity to get, they were going to get a better chance in the lottery to get Karl Anthony Towns, and they won all 3 games. And I remember sitting there as a fan going, it was such a bad season, but we just won 3 in a row. And it wasn't until, and I was at that last game at the Garden, and it wasn't until that they won. And this is when we had like Dennis Smith Jr. and all these other people. Not Dennis Smith Jr. I can't think of the real bad point guard we had. And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, yeah, we won. But then as I sat down, as I'm leaving and I'm heading down 42nd Street, I'm thinking to myself, fuck, we just won. So to your question, I want to see us win as many games as humanly possible, but I also don't want to win too many games that we shoot ourselves in the foot and we have year 6 with Daniel Jones.
Well, we may put it this way. Well, and you know this better than me, but Daniel Jones may be on the team because of the money thing. But the only question is, will there be another quarterback, young stud, ready to take his spot and be on the roster with him?
I knew someone was going to know. Thank you for the super chat, Dave Slickback. Langston Galloway. Yes, that's who it was the point guard. Yes, it was. And then he left that year, the next year, because we couldn't have, I forgot why we let him go, but we let him go and he sucked anyways. So he's kind of like Daniel Jones.
Didn't the Giants do the same thing with Chase Young? The game against Washington a few years ago, I think it was in Washington, and we beat Washington.
And we beat Washington. Yeah, it's true.
He literally ended up getting like the pick or a 2 ahead of us to get Chase Young. Not saying that Young has been on the field healthy all the time, but I'm just saying we kind of did the same thing to ourselves with Chase Young.
So I like Max when I said when we were talking about losing games. So I said, so I play Daniel Jones.
I mean,
That's what I would do. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Montana says 2-year deal, $11 million contract, 4.2 signing bonus, 8.1 guaranteed. That's Tyrod Taylor's contract right now. Todd also wants to know, anyone know Carson? Anyone who Wentz? Is Wentz free? Carson Wentz is free. Would you take Carson Wentz?
I keep. I mean, you know what? I'm always saying, you know what? Bring him. Just give him for a tryout. I mean, that won't hurt. You know, bring him in, see what he look like. You know, it's. But you also have to understand, if we start doing stuff like that, that's almost waving the sign like, well, we're punting on this season.
I mean, Carson Wentz is still a guy that's thrown for over 20,000 yards. I think he's got 151 touchdowns and 60-something interceptions. He actually played well. He played well in Indianapolis 2 years ago, and there was 19 games. I know he got a lot of blame for that loss, that last loss of the season, but it wasn't all his fault. It was the defense against Jacksonville that gave up all the points, not Carson Wentz. I mean, he is an NFL quarterback. And
I'm not saying that.
And now I should rephrase it, because Daniel Jones is also an NFL quarterback. He is a NFL quarterback who at times was a MVP candidate and has led teams to the playoffs and wins. So maybe that's a better way.
You gotta think about what you just said, though. We started the year off, we coming off winning the playoff game. We signed our quarterback. We got all these weapons. You know, we're playing Dallas opening night. MetLife, we're all excited. And now, was it 6 weeks later? We're sitting here talking about how good our backup looked and talking about, should we bring in Carson Wentz?
Most teams, if that was their scenario, you would say they need a quarterback. They need a quarterback. But in New York, it's well, we failed him.
Oh, please. Don't do the I gotta burp the baby. That's what I call I gotta burp the baby. We gotta burp the baby. We gotta burp the $1 million baby. Oh, $40 million baby. Oh, I don't understand this whole we ruined him. You can't ruin garbage and make it trash.
Hey, that's my line.
You know, you can try to recycle garbage and get something out of it, which is what we're trying to do.
Wouldn't we be recycling if we brought in Carson Wentz?
We would, but he wasn't our trash. That's somebody else's trash that we recycled. We went
to somebody else's house, got their trash, and then recycled it. Wow, we're eco-friendly.
Yeah, no, yeah. Think about that. You know, like the Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield, who's playing better than Daniel Jones, he got recycled and he's over there, and it's like, oh, that was Cleveland's trash, and now he's over in Tampa Bay doing pretty good.
Let's see here. No such thing as tanking in the NFL. DJ is healthy to go. If I was the owner, I'm not paying him $40 million to warm the bench. That's a great question. That's a good question.
That's what I'm saying.
Is that the thing though? Is that the thing that you are going to let him play just because of the amount that you're paying him?
Yeah, I think because I fully believe, I believe in my left big toe that Mara definitely influenced the contract and everything. So Mara is not going to
fly. Believe you can touch the guy.
Mara is not going to let him.
He's going to plow through.
Right.
Plow through.
Well, in all fairness, Mara is not. Mara is not.
Forgot about that. Well, in all fairness,
Mara is not going to let him ride the bench. Kareem, you're right. You know, like it's no matter what we want, no matter what Davo wants, no matter who we bring in, we're paying this guy $40 million. That guy's Mara's a billionaire owner. He wants to see his investment out there on the field. You know, so if he's healthy, he's gonna play. If his neck is good, he's gonna play.
I agree. Dable even came out and said, but beyond the fiend said we should have let Jones walk, gotten Minshew in the offseason, brought him in cheap as a bridge quarterback, and if he took off, so be it. I like Gardner Minshew. I liked him in I liked him more in Jacksonville than I did in Philadelphia and everything else. But I think that when Jalen Hurts went down last year and Minshew came in and they stuttered a little bit, Philadelphia. That was proved that, Jalen was a huge part of that offense. So, honestly, at this point in time, I think Gardner Minshew could have led this team to a 1-5 record.
I mean, you could have led us to a 1-5 record. You could have got out there and got lucky.
Listen,
Maybe.
listen, I could have led us to a 0-6 record.
I mean, one game. I mean, we're 1-5. We're 1-5. We're 1-5. Looking at Washington, we're not thinking. We just suck.
That's what I wanted to get to that one because I love that. Thank you for the super chat. I love that one. We're not tanking, and you have to do a little say so or dramatic pause. We just suck.
It's the truth, though. Like we're
defense at times doesn't suck. That's what gets
me.
There are held defense where he's not blitzing like a crazy man, and he actually does it strategically that we don't suck.
No, King of the almost sack and Sexy Dexy. They made a couple plays last night. Like, again, we held White Vic in that offense to 14 points. And that last touchdown he threw, that was just he just pulled some Brett Favre out of his you-know-what. Because I didn't even know where he was throwing the ball to that guy. So look at the play he had to make, to even get the 14. But it's also the same, it's also the same defense that gave up 40.
Yeah, but it was also the defense that gave up that 27.5-minute drive in the third quarter and then gave up another 48-minute drive in the, directly after that and couldn't get off the field when they put up the 14 points.
You know what? I think Banks looked good.
Banks
at times last night. This is going to be a year where we got to weed out who we're really going to keep going forward or who we probably going to have to let go going forward. That's what we should be looking at. Like who's actually playing?
What talent
hard
can we cultivate?
Yes, like we have to save what we can and discard the rest. That's what we have to start thinking about.
This is just for the pimp name. Slip back.
You can do it! Oh no! We suck again.
That's a classic.
I gotta get to James' super chat here. Jay, I'm told all Giant fans in 2024 we are drafting a quarterback. All Daniel Jones is determined what round. Plus, with Tyrod's expiring contract at the end of the year, and someone else brought that up a little while ago. James, we talked about that. This is it for. I mean, unless Tyrod resigns, we don't have a quarterback beyond Daniel Jones on this roster, except for Tommy DeVito in 2024, unless we bring in Carson Wentz.
I'm almost sure Dabo is probably going to try to get Tyrod to sign another 1 or 2 year deal. I don't know for how much. You're better with the money numbers than me, but I'm almost sure because he knows him. They have a relationship, and I'm pretty sure he's comfortable. Very comfortable having him there at the backup position. Somebody that's a veteran who can come in, who, as we saw last night, even in prime time in a big spot, can come in and not make us look like idiots. Like we looked like a team last night. We looked like a team.
How much would you bring in, Carson? I mean, you would be bringing back a quarterback that would be 35 years old. I mean, let me just figure this out here. Okay, and 7, and if I bring in Carson, and okay, so we're paying. Hold on, and I got to carry this right. If we are paying Daniel Jones $40 million, we should probably pay Daniel. We should probably pay Tyrod Taylor $68 million a year.
Yeah, we should tell Danny, like, listen, you got to give at least $10 million of this up to your back.
You got to give some of your money to Tyrod Taylor. Right?
It's called reparations. You got it. This is the reparations clause. We didn't tell you about. Sorry, brother.
And this is the reparations that has nothing to do with race. You just suck. So you got to give.
Yeah, no, that's kind of reparations. Sorry, no.
This is called you aren't worth $40 million reparations, and we have to give some to this other guy.
That's funny.
Irish Rovers says we are keeping the punter and the kicker. No, we have talent on this team.
we have some pieces. We
There's
do.
there's talent on this team.
But we can't evaluate, like, even our weapons. We can't evaluate Jalen Hyatt. I mean, somebody in the chat said, "What happened to Hodgins?" Yeah, that's a good question. What happened to Hodgins?
He showed
just
up a little bit. I think he caught 6 balls or 5 balls.
You know, it's like we won't even know how good some of these receivers or pass catchers are without a guy who's actually going to throw them the ball.
Yeah.
You know, like how many guys are we going to bring in? And it's like, well, that guy's not good. That guy's not good. That guy's not good. They all can't be not good. You know, Penix. Yeah, I actually really like Drake May, to be honest. You know, I've watched a little bit more of him, and I think Drake May is what Mara wishes Daniel Jones was.
But here's the question though: Penix or Caleb Williams?
I mean, if we have it, I take Caleb. But if you're talking about if I have a choice, just one, I would take Caleb.
Yeah, I said the same thing. Even though he had two bad games. But he had three first half interceptions against Notre Dame. Notre Dame was playing with a chip on their shoulder at home, coming off the snide because they had lost 2 games in a row. And they just dropped to Louisville. Yeah, I mean, like I said,
that's a big deal for Notre Dame, against USC. That's a big game. So
USC Notre Dame is always a big game. I remember going back to Matt Leinart and watching those games. So
yeah, that's. I mean, I'm not going to kill a kid, like you said. He had a bad game. I mean, even look at Colorado. He gave up that lead to Stanford. I mean, come on, So things happen. That's why it's football.
Carson Wentz is already 35. I didn't know that.
Time flies.
Time flies. Time flies when you're having fun sucking. I'm sorry.
You know what? Carson Wentz was probably sitting on the couch, heard Pew, and go, "Hey, man, I want to be off the couch."
Yeah, he's gonna be Carson Wentz off the recliner.
I'm gonna get me right here.
That Jones contract was an insurance policy. Well, that's a big insurance policy.
Insurance.
I forgot Hodges was on the team. Frankly, I agree with that. Last night says the G-Man was the first real evaluation of the team. The flow was there.
It was. Last night, again, when we, 3rd and 5, I actually felt like, I feel like we're going to convert this.
Yeah. You actually had a little bit of, you actually thought to yourself, hey, a 3rd and 4, maybe someone's not going to throw a 2-yard out.
Yeah. Like maybe somebody will actually throw it either past the sticks or right at the sticks, and let somebody like Wandell. He had a play, he caught it, and then he dove Papa Smurf in between the 2 guys. I was like, oh yeah, there you go. That was simple. Look at that.
We not only had the flow, we had the glow, because our mind, body, and souls must be one. It's a sacrifice because you have to reach that upper level. Just letting people know that. Bruce Leroy.
Yo, the OG QB was in foot and Shep. Yeah, Shep. Listen, man.
I don't know what happened. He looks great on this. You and I were watching him on the sidelines to warm up. And I remember looking at you and you going at one point in Seattle going, well, he's looking really good on the sidelines.
He was dancing. He was doing backflips. He was up there like, yeah, man, I'm going to get up in here and I'm going to
show what I can do. Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
We got to get this behind the scenes also. Thank you for the super chat. Last year, Dable seemed more comfortable with the team because I think he felt he had DJ for a season. But this year, it feels like he'll have to check out. Do you think there's any you think there's any validity to that?
That's actually, I like that behind the scenes.
I like it too, because what gets me is, we talked about this before, James. He talks about Josh Allen, like Josh Allen's his son and he misses him and he makes him, he makes him a better play caller. And then he talks about Daniel Jones and it's, well, Daniel Jones is our quarterback.
That's what that's like. That's like somebody asks you about your ex-girlfriend, and then your girlfriend's in the room or somewhere close, and then you're just going on and on about, oh, she could cook and she was great, man, and she was so funny and outgoing. And then they ask you, oh, but what about your girl now? Oh, she's good with colors.
Good colors.
It's like that. That was such a backhanded but eye-opening. And what Fiend said, I think he's right. Like, he was all like, whenever DJ would do something, you see Dable, right, baby. And in the back of my head, he's like, I won't have to deal with Joe sorry behind after this year. But the fact that he's back, I think Dabo's kind of like, oh man, like he's actually
I get
back.
it. Oh,
Like,
speaking of eye opening,
yo, I still that still makes me laugh because I'm like that chick was like, you caught the perfect angle. That is hilarious. And she's like small too, like she's tiny. But you caught her like
I didn't know if your girl was watching.
that's hilarious, man. Like that she was like right there. I was just like, oh my god, like, that's hilarious.
For those that do not know, of course, we've talked about this before. We were at the Seattle game and we were behind the sidelines, and this person walks behind us, and I thought it was just very obligatory. I didn't think anything of it, and I said to James, "You should send this to your girlfriend." You know, he goes, "No, I can't." And I said, "Well, why? There's nothing wrong with it."
No, I can't.
And the dumbass I am, he's
Scallywag.
He's going, "No, man, I can't." And then you send it, and then you get a text message. I mean, what? 5 seconds
That's
later,
not her hair.
that's
Who's
not
that?
her. Who's that girl? That's not her hair.
I was like, why are you tackling her hair? Poor girl did nothing to you. Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. I like this. I like it. The girl was eyeing James. See, I knew it. That's why I told you shouldn't have sent the picture. You don't listen to me.
Listen, that girl wouldn't leave. The funny thing, Irish girl, was she just kept like hanging around. I was like, all right, shoot.
I like this one. The side eye is weird timing.
Yo, I'm telling you, she timed that perfectly. Like that was almost like I was like, damn, I even see her little behind Big Tim. Wentz is 30, not 35. Oh, okay.
Okay, I just saw that too. The Wentz is 30, not 30. I thought he couldn't be 35.
Yo, I was gonna say, I was
But
like, how is he the same age as Tyrod?
but then I'm laughing because I thought to myself, well, maybe he is 35.
It's like, damn, man, those years are fucking put some years on you.
I could be wrong. I was like, he's 35.
Man.
Everyone, just keep your hat on. Keep what hat on? My hat is on. James is on. We have too many people. Women have a sixth sense for cameras.
They do.
I was off by 4 years. I was off by 4 years.
Women also have a sixth sense for when other women are around.
Yes, and you would have thought that at the end, after the initial conversation, that would have been it. I think you were still getting text messages going into the second quarter.
I'm telling you, scallywag. Scallywag.
Oh my God! Irish River says Wentz would work as a backup for Tyrod Taylor.
That's what we're talking about.
I love Dom D. Carson Wentz looks like he's 42 years old.
We're gonna bring in Carson as a backup for the OG QB. Oh my God!
Giants. Did the Giants announce who were they bringing in and for quarterbacks? Because they're having tryouts, I think, tomorrow.
But like you said, that would be a sign that then this kid, maybe this neck injury thing is a little worse than they're letting on.
Yeah, I'm trying to see now.
Why would immediately, like a week later, you're hearing about, we're actually bringing in quarterbacks, or maybe looking into bringing somebody in for tryouts.
All right, well, it's Matt Barkley and Ian Book.
Who?
I know who Matt Barkley is. Matt Barkley he was in with the Bills during the Dable era from I think 18 to 2020, I think it was.
Matt Barkley, he played at USC, right?
Yeah. And he was with the Bills for 2 years. Ian Book was a 4th round draft choice out of the Saints in 2020. He played in one game for the Saints. He was released by the Philadelphia Eagles at the end of training camp. Honestly, listen, if we're bringing in these two guys, maybe they can give me a shot.
Yo, that I don't know who that is. I just don't want. We can't have no more Mike Glennon, Jake Fromm ever. I can never see a quarterback. As much crap as I give DJ, watching Fromm and Glennon out there, I really kind of wanted to just end it. I wanted to like jump off my roof.
So Ian Book is a quarterback out of Notre
Notre
Dame.
Dame?
I don't remember Ian
I
Book.
don't remember that dude.
I have to go back and look. Well, he did throw. Let's see. His last season, he threw for 2,830 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Okay, yeah. The Matt Barkley thing. I'm fine with Matt Barkley. Matt Barkley is at least a quarterback. You know, he's he's nice to his family.
we just bringing in the nice guys.
Just bringing in that.
Wholesome guys.
He's a wholesome guy. He helps old ladies across the street. You know, he's just like Daniel Jones. Signing Wentz would be perceived as a splash move by the media, not worth it. I'm not thinking. I think Carson Wentz would be worth it.
It can't hurt.
He wasn't great in Washington, but he did have a good season. His second to last one in Indianapolis. I think he threw for over 3,500 yards. I know he had 27 touchdowns. I don't remember how many interceptions, but I know it was single digits. So I have to. What? Alrighty then. Yes, it's actually 8:30. I have to go.
He was like, oh, that was I have to go.
I have to go. I just have too much fun talking to James and everyone else in the chat. James, you got anything to say? Anything to say for
I just like, again, we just nothing, like, nobody don't get too riled up over the year. You know, it is what it is. You know, we can't tank. Tanking is not allowed. But if we suck enough, we may just tank without tanking. And I'll just leave it at that.
I like that. Wisdom from James. We are tanking without tanking. Because we don't know that we're tanking.
Yeah.
That sums up the New York Giants 2023 season. We're going to end it right there. This is Tim. This is James. This is New York Giants talking everything. Hope everyone else has a great weekend. No video tomorrow. We'll probably have one out Wednesday. For James and Tim, you know what, guys? Thanks for hanging out. And we are what they refer to as